Welcome, everybody. This is the Movie Mavens podcast. I'm your co-host, Luke Slater.
And I'm your co-host Harry. What's up? What's good, guys?
So today we'll be talking about three different shows we've been watching this month, or this past month in June, and then now into July. Um, Star Wars: The Acolyte, House of the Dragon, and oh my gosh, what is the third one? Oh, The Boys, of course. So anyway, we've got a lot to talk about. The initial plan was to do this weekly throughout June, but we kept running into technical issues and some other things came up, so it didn't quite happen that way. So we'll be kind of like doing a lot of catch up on things and going through the shows a little bit more broadly than we were anticipating at first. And then going forward, we're going to try to do this more consistently this month so that we can explore things a little more in depth. Um, the Acolyte has two more episodes left for us to watch as of this recording, and
We starting there?
yeah, we're
Start the Acolyte?
yeah.
Acolyte and Acolyte.
But I was just going to say too that we'll also be talking about some movie news and some other industry news as well at the end. That's kind of more of a catch-all. Um, or do you think we should do that first? Should we do the movie
Yeah,
news first?
let's do that first, and then we'll get to the main topics. The meat and potatoes will be later.
Cool. So then, yeah, for right now, we'll start with some news that we talked. So some of this will be
Yeah,
a rehashing of the um, the second episode that we recorded, which nobody I think has seen because we had audio issues with it. So we recorded a full podcast episode where we talked about the first two episodes that had premiered of The Acolyte, and then talked about some other news. So I'll be bringing up some of that again, just so that people can actually hear what we were talking about. Uh, excuse me. So, um, to start, there was a Hollywood Reporter article. I think this might have even been as far back as May, talking about how there's going to be a John Wick spinoff. There's one called The Ballerina coming out with Anna de Armas, but then they're also doing a spinoff on the character Kane from John Wick 4, played by Donnie Yen. Super excited about this news. Definitely my number one pick for a John Wick spinoff would be a spinoff on the character Kane. He's definitely my favorite John Wick character outside of Keanu. So, yeah, what do you think about that?
I'm super excited. My only worry is that just like whoever writes it, and who's writing it again? Isn't there already a writer?
I have to check his.
I'm not prepared, Chad.
Gotta check his credentials. I think they're fairly limited, but it's some good stuff.
Yeah, okay. I think I looked up the guy, and there's like maybe three things on there that I thought were pretty decent, but I really wish Chad would just take over and direct it. Which I mean, that's not out of the possibilities unless they have a director.
Yeah, no, they haven't signed a director on yet. I'd love it for Chad to be it, or
Yeah.
even like they get David Leitch to come back. But we shall see. I don't understand. How is this not showing up?
Yeah, but I just think there's cool aspects to Kane that could be explored in his own movie, even more fleshed out than in um, John Wick 4. Like, you know, the whole baby monitor thing or whatever. Or not the baby monitor, but the sensors. Like, maybe the action could be more like blind type guy action to where he has to do these things to figure out where people are and stuff. I think they should do more of that and just like expand on almost like his character type, like even like the video game. You know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like a character type. But
Yeah, they so it is going to take place after John Wick 4, which I'm happy about because I was curious to see where things go from there.
it's going to be after. So
I mean, I'm sure there might be flashbacks and stuff like that.
no, that's good. I mean, Donnie Yen is pretty old too, so it's probably good to keep it going.
Yeah, so super excited about that. Also in the news, George R. R. Martin um, talked about how they're doing a revisiting an idea they had initially for a spin-off of Game of Thrones that has focuses on a young, or no, it's Nymeria. So it's going to be called A Thousand Ships, and I think they were going to potentially retool it as an animated show because it would have been too prohibitively expensive as a live action show because I would be following a character kind of all the way around um, the world and going on adventures and things like that. So that one, that's exciting to hear. I'd love to see an animated Game of Thrones set show.
Yeah, that would
I
be
think it'll
cool.
be interesting. I always feel like animation you can do a little bit more sometimes than you can in live
Especially
action.
with the dragons, yeah, they could do some like really cool stuff that they haven't been able to do in the show.
Yeah, and so that's in early development. It had been developed for a while, and then they kind of had canceled it as an idea. Again, I think due to budgetary concerns, but now they're kind of, like I said, retooling it as animated. Um, so yeah, that's exciting as well. In the world of Star Wars, Skeleton Crew, I think is going to be the next show to debut after The Acolyte this fall. I don't think there's anything in between now and then that I can think of that I know of. So pretty sure that's what's next. And
I wanted to mention Long Legs is coming out this week.
oh yeah,
Or next week. I'm super excited. Um, yeah, I think it's a movie that me and Luke both want to see. It's giving me like, if you guys have seen the trailer, it's giving me like Silence of the Lamb vibes. But the reviews have been really interesting and like people are raving about it. So we'll see, I guess. I feel like Nicolas Cage, like he's not great and everything, but I think if you get him in the right role, he's great. Like he's at the top of his game for sure. Like seeing him in that as Dracula in that one movie, I was like, okay, if you get him in the right role, he'll kill it. Like
yeah, definitely when he's working with people who are quality filmmakers, um, or even at least interesting filmmakers. I feel like good stuff comes from it.
Dream Scenario, which I haven't seen yet, but I'm hearing
Oh
it's
yeah,
really good.
Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I really liked.
I haven't seen that either.
A lot of fun. I have a poster on my wall over here of it. It's such a great, funny movie. If you're a cinephile, for sure. Mandy, of course, that everybody goes to as a recent kind of like cult classic that people love.
Yeah, I like Mandy, but it's selective. Like it's not for everybody.
Yeah, it's kind of a nightmare of a movie
Yeah,
in a good way, in my opinion. But yeah, definitely not for everybody.
but Long Legs comes out Thursday, which would be what's the date for that? Um,
So fifth, so the 12th, I think, is technically the day it comes out on
12,
Friday,
12.
but
Yeah,
obviously previews start on, or the first showing start on the 11th on Thursday.
yeah. But look out for Long Legs. If you haven't seen the trailer, look at the trailer. If you like horror movies, it looks like a pretty good one. It could be a good one. Has potential. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be good, but it definitely has potential. Oh, who's the main actress? The detective in the movie. Man, I did start with this.
Oh, Micah Monroe, she was in It Follows, and
She's pretty good. I don't know if I like all her movies that much, but I think she's a good actress.
oh, and yeah, to follow up on the Kane spinoff, it's the writer has written episodes for The Sun, which is an AMC show, I think, with Pierce Brosnan, like in a Western, and then The Umbrella Academy, which is a superhero show I've not seen, but one that I've heard good things about. I think I maybe watched an episode or two, and I just needed to, I just let stuff get in the way or got distracted. But um, yeah, so that's some exciting stuff coming down the pike. Um, but yeah, if you want to get, is there anything else, movie news or TV news wise, that you can think of, kind of within the last? Um,
Camera. Look, make sure you're looking at the camera when you're talking to her.
oh, talking to you.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
awkward.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else movie news wise that you can think of?
Um,
Again, I think we talked about other things when we did the recording several weeks ago, so I'm sure there's
yeah, we'll
um,
probably
some.
circle around on a couple things eventually.
A lot of it is old news when it comes to how quick things go in this industry. So there'll probably be updates on certain projects that will come around, and then we'll end up talking about stuff that we had initially talked about a while ago um, on the unpublished episode. So yeah, main thing being that uh, now that Hollywood has gotten past the writers and actors strikes of last year, there's
And
been
get
a
some
lot
dope
of
shit.
yeah, a lot of cool projects coming up very soon.
Yeah,
Um,
man. We got the Penguin show coming up.
oh shoot, yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah.
That's in a couple months, right?
Oh yes, so that reminds me of another thing we didn't talk about. So yeah, so the Penguin Show is coming out, I think, in September on Max, and um, then we also have from Matt Reeves as well. So that's Matt Reeves produced, so the writer, director of the Batman with Robert Pattinson. This Penguin Show's continuation of that with Colin Farrell playing the Penguin again, which he did an amazing job with.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm hoping he gets most of the screen time because I know with some shows they'll split it up evenly and stuff. But I think his Penguin is good enough to just carry on his own in the show. I hope it gets majority of the screen time.
One is exciting too because the director of the show did Mayor of Easttown with Kate Winslet.
Oh, that's right.
So,
Bro, if y'all haven't seen that show, y'all gotta see it.
yeah, great show for sure. Great.
I told my homie and his girlfriend to watch it. And, yeah, they don't know what they're in for, man. Great show.
Yeah, so they just dropped a new trailer for that pretty recently, I think, and it looked really good, in my opinion, for sure. Let's see if, and then the other thing, Batman Dark, gosh, what Cape Crusader, Batman Cape
Oh,
Crusader, so
that's
the
right.
animated
Yeah.
one. Yeah, did you end up watching the trailer that I sent you?
Yeah, I saw the trailer. It looks like more of the same. Like I was actually kind of shocked at how much. Like I thought they would maybe like change a couple things to kind of modernize it, but like it literally looks exactly like the old cartoon, just like updated,
And that's what's exciting. I think,
animation or whatever.
yeah, I think that it's going to be a like a
I got cotton
spiritual
mouth.
sequel, huh?
I got cotton mouth.
Oh, you're good. A spiritual sequel to uh, the Batman animated series from the '90s, one of the goated series, in my opinion, of all time,
Oh yeah,
or goated of all time, greatest of all time of all time.
like
Uh,
the most adult kid show ever. It was
and
awesome.
and this will be even more so. So it's going to be on Amazon Prime. I think all 10 episodes debut on like August 1st or something like that.
Oh wow,
I might have to double check that. So yeah, really coming up very soon, like literally less than a month. So I cannot wait.
nice.
Ooh yeah, and it's Yeah, that's right, and it's Hamish Linklater, the guy who plays the priest in Midnight Mass. He's
Oh yeah, yeah,
he
that's
plays
cool.
Bruce Wayne, Batman's voice, and then Catwoman is Christina Ricci, Harvey Dent, Diedrich Bader. Who's the guy in Office Space who's like, oh man, he does the whole thing like, you ever been
I
with
haven't seen
two?
that movie
Oh,
in
you
so
never seen
long.
us? Okay,
I,
okay,
no, I've
yeah,
seen it a bunch of times. It's one of Ashton's favorite movies.
it's such a good movie. Yeah, I got to see that again for sure. That's got a great
Long
voice
time.
cast, but yeah, it's not specifying who does what for a lot of these, other than
This is a Chad. This is a big time of the year though for entertainment because I'm a gamer as well. So we got NCAA coming out next week. We got um, Star Wars coming out in August. I think I'm gonna set. I want Luke specifically because of how much of a fan he is. I want to get him streaming the game.
I will definitely stream that game.
Yeah, we can like maybe if we have people in here, we can answer questions or just talk about random shit that's going on.
And the way I play games with like Skyrim or like the Elder Scrolls games or anything like that, I'm always trying to make it a narrative for myself, like give my character an arc and a story. So I feel like that'll be suited well towards streaming it because it'll feel like a story, hopefully, and be engaging. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how I do with it.
Yeah,
But I'm
no,
excited. I'm very excited for that game.
yeah. I was kind of skeptical, but people played it early, and pretty much everybody that played it early said they were impressed. Like it was better than they thought it would be.
GTA in space is what you were saying, or
Yeah,
Star Wars in
Star
GTA
Wars
kind of.
GTA, and a lot of people were saying that the story, like the character herself, even though she looks kind of generic, she's very likable and has a lot of charm. So that was good to hear. So it should be a good one. Should be a fun one. We'll try to stream a little bit of it. I don't know if this computer can handle the video game stream. We'll have to see.
This one or yours? Oh my! Oh, you're talking about mine for when yeah.
I guess we could link this one to yours, but I don't know if that'll mess up like my encoding and stuff or whatever. I'm gonna have to look that up. But anyways,
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
yeah.
Hopefully it'll go well though, for sure.
All right. Well, yeah, we can cut news there. We can get into the big topics if you want.
All right, here we go. So yeah, let's talk about The Acolyte. So this show is divisive to say the least. I think we're going to give a quick preamble. We kind of had a longer version of this that we talked about when we recorded our initial episode. Man, I'm just going to keep referring to this ghost episode. So this is a show that is, to me, feels like a little bit more like a mini series, and by that I mean that it's not a traditional like case of the week, or it's not. Yeah, sometimes the episodes just feel like a chapter, or not even a full chapter. It just seems like the next part of the story, and then they just kind of cut off at a semi cliffhangery moment.
Yeah.
So, like, I really do think because there's a flashback episode in episode 3, and then there's a flashback episode starting this next week on for episode 7, which is the second to last episode of the series. It breaks up the structure that there would essentially be. So you couldn't do it exactly like this, but essentially the first 2 episodes could be one. Then you have the third episode, which is a flashback. Episodes 4 and 5, once again, should be one episode. They just divided it up, so it's like 2 30-minute episodes. And so I think that has disrupted things for people because it doesn't feel like a ton is happening episode to episode as much as something like Game of Thrones or other shows would be. But yeah, I definitely think that you can combine the first 2 episodes, episodes 4 and 5, and then episodes 6 and 8 take place in the current timeline with like a break for that to go back and kind of reassess what happened in the first flashback episode and give you a more complete idea of what's going on. But anyway, I kind of like jumped into that without a lot of
Yeah, I was letting you go.
yeah. So anyway, what is your thought on the show as a whole leading up to the final 2 episodes? We'll talk about some of the toxic fandom that has been kind of review bombing this show in a very hilariously significant way, to where it's like it's not subtle, and we'll go into that for sure. But I think Forbes had an article about that. Yeah, what is your thought? Because you're a little more negative on the show than I am, or mixed on it, however you want to put it.
I didn't like
I'm a
the
little.
way the first 3 episodes. I was kind of tapped out. I thought it was turning into one of these like Obi-Wan or a lot of these other Star Wars shows that have came out that I'm just like, this is not for me. But then the 4th episode came, and I've been hooked ever since. I think that 4th episode kind of figured out that a lot of stuff we've been seeing is not like necessarily fact. And like I thought this third episode was so bad with the flashback, but now seeing what's going on, like Luke's been saying, like, hey, this is this is what how Osha sees or how she remembers things. This is why that episode is seems so like almost in a kid's point of view. Like a lot of stuff, just the dialogue wasn't great. It was a lot of like cut to type shit in that episode, and I was just confused. But now seeing the fourth and the fifth episode, the story, like we don't know what's going on pretty much. Like I still couldn't tell you who the main villain is. So yeah, I'm digging it right now. It's kind of turned into it's turned into more of a thriller now. Like I can see what they were trying to do with the show. But I think episode four, and I guess I'll say five too. It saved the show for me. Like
Yeah, so I think episode 5 is the one that saved the show for you, because that's the one where the fight happens. Episode 4 is the one that leads into it. So it's like day is episode 4.
I'm sorry.
Episode 5 is night when they actually fight.
Episode 5 is
Yeah.
so 5 and 6
Yeah.
are the episodes I'm talking about that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, this latest episode I enjoyed a lot.
Yeah, I think just the story setup, and my problem is like, you gotta. I feel like in episode 5 we should have got a lot of that, at least hints of it early on, like or throughout those episodes of what type of show this is gonna be. Because up to episode 5, I was pretty like checked out, 100%.
So yeah, from my perspective, I so it's a mystery show, but I think that there's several small mysteries that were set up that people thought were going to be not as obvious to start, and because they were obvious, people were kind of being like, oh, if it turns out to be this, that's too obvious, blah blah blah. But the main mystery of this show is what really happened in the past at Brendok, which is the lead character Osha and May, these twins, their home planet, when these 4 Jedi come and kind of confront this coven of Force witches of some kind. I don't think they have not been given a name yet specifically, but similar to the Dathomir witches in Clone Wars and the Legends canon. But yeah, again, like you were saying, that third episode is a very idealized flashback that really is from a kid's perspective. Like, and I think it's purposefully very innocent and very like, I mean, there's some stuff that happens that's intense, but it's still kiddie intense.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's fully purposeful. I think that this next one is going to, for one, have a lot of action to kind of show what's happening. I think we're going to see a Wookiee fight finally.
That's what I'm most excited about.
Wookiee Jedi fight.
And the fact that they're keeping it from us makes me even more excited. It's probably going to be crazy.
So yeah, I'm super excited for that. But yeah, I think that people, you got the first 2 episodes together. I thought they were really good. I really enjoyed them personally. I liked how my favorite thing about the entire show is the finally bringing Asian culture to the forefront by casting 2 of the leads, having 2 of the leads be Asian. I think Lee Jung Jae is Korean, and Manny Jacinto is I think he's Filipino. I'm going to be wrong on that, I'm sure. Let me double check. But all that to say is that it's like Star Wars, more than most pop culture properties, I think, is heavily inspired by Asian culture, specifically Japanese culture. George Lucas is a huge fan a huge friend, but also fan of Akira Kurosawa. So much of what the Jedi were inspired by samurai, but also by like Shaolin monks.
So all Asian culture, pretty much.
Yeah. So it's like,
Crazy.
so I think it's far past time that you have, an Asian lead Jedi character when the Jedi are so like obviously modeled after these Asian cultures. So
yeah, and I think they're the strongest characters in the show. Um, I will say I forgot to talk about another thing that bothers me is I just don't like the OSHA and May characters. I mean now it's getting interesting because of the switch or whatever. It's making sense, but it's still to me it still doesn't fix like some of the dialogue, some of the moments they've had in the show where like it's literally to the point now whenever they have these deep conversations with each other, I kind of just roll my eyes like I don't even. It's like I don't know. I it sucks because I really do like the actress who plays OSHA and May, but I don't know. I feel like the characters could have been a little bit better, a little more interesting. Um, but
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a issue with the structure of the show. I think that there's so much mystery about the nature of OSHA and May
mm-hmm.
based on the past that I think she's a bit of a cipher. She's almost like a Neo in the first Matrix, where they're like she's almost like the plot is happening to her rather than her like really moving the plot forward herself. It's like
Okay,
she's kind of,
yeah.
especially OSHA, is being dragged around like by, the Jedi. It's like Soul's like, hey, I need you to come help me get May, and then she goes and does that, fires some warning shots at May, doesn't really try to stun her like she should have in the first, I think it's the second episode. May doesn't even know Osha's alive, and you can tell this by her reaction to seeing her. She's like, Oshi, like gives her this little nickname response and seems completely surprised, and it totally changes her character going forward because she's on this like mission of vengeance that all of a sudden doesn't almost need to happen because she was so close to her sister before they were separated by the Jedi in the past. And I think part of the problem with Osha specifically is that she left the Jedi Order after being taken away, and we have not seen or heard why that is. So there's still a mystery of like, I don't even know if you'd say mystery, but it's just yet to be revealed what it was that led her to leave the Jedi. She says in this latest episode, in episode 6, and this is spoiler review. I guess we never really said that up top, but yeah, like, so everything we're going to be talking about is going to be spoilers. So if you haven't seen to episode 6 of the show,
we'll put it in the title.
Yeah, we'll put it in the title.
Spoilers.
So basically, you have this character in Osha who, as a child, she grew up in this coven with her sister, and they're twins. She wants to go with the Jedi when the Jedi come and say, like, hey, we want to test you because it seems like you have force powers, whatever. And they have two mothers, Mother Coral and Mother Anasea. One of them is more permissive, and one is more like has a problem with the Jedi, it seems.
Yeah, which I think one of them is the main villain of the show. But
yeah, that's been speculated for sure, and it definitely could be the case. I would not be surprised if it is, but it would seem a little on the nose if it was. But I'm wondering if one of them is the master, and then the master is killed at the end of the season. Because I feel like that if it is Mother Coral, who's kind of this Zabrak, I think is the name of the alien creature, which is the same as Darth Maul. Darth Maul.
Yeah, it has to be her, 100%. Just hearing that out loud, it has to be her.
Well, yeah, I mean, it could be. But I think at the same time it might be a red herring because she's got the horns. She just seems a little more evil because she's describing the Jedi as like, what does she call them? Like crazy monks or something, or like.
So maybe it's the actual mom, which would make for even crazier conclusion if the mom's the one.
I would hope so, just because I love Jodie Turner-Smith, and I think she did an excellent job in episode 3. I think she was definitely the best part of that episode.
Yeah.
I think she'd be awesome. That is definitely my hope. I would love to see her. If she's the master, I'd love to see that, and I wouldn't mind if that were the case. But if it was Mother Coral, I feel like she would have to be like killed off at the end of the season, either by Chimere, or Osha or May, however things will go down, or even Soul or Vernestra. So anyway, we're throwing a lot of names out there, but anybody watching this, you've watched the show. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching the stream.
Who already know what's going on.
But But yeah, I just think that the biggest issue with the show is that it's a mystery. So week to week, when certain questions aren't being answered, I've been watching a lot of other podcasts that talk about the show, and it's just hilarious to me because so many of the criticisms are like criticisms about what potentially could be the case. So, for example, like at the end of episode 5, there's a podcast, I won't even name which one, but like where this guy literally was like, man, the fact that Soul doesn't know that May uh, switched clothes with OSHA and is with him now instead of it being OSHA. Like, if he doesn't know that, that's ridiculous. And then, oh, they left all the bodies behind of the other Jedi. And then there was like one other thing that he was complaining about, and this was all only possibilities because the episode ends before it's at all possible to know whether any of these issues are true. And then, sure enough, we watch the episode, and Vernestra shows up to investigate and pick up the bodies, and Soul. It's uncertain when he figures it out or if he knew it all along, but I think it's very possible that he knew it all along and just was trying to get May into a state of
Yeah,
comfort, level of comfort with
there's
him.
definitely something there. I don't think he did necessarily didn't. He probably tried to stop whatever was going on and was unsuccessful. So I definitely think he was there and he was a part of it, even though he didn't cause it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, just be cool. Because we talked about even at the beginning of the show how there was that important scene where one of the Jedi's was first killed, and what's the master's name who talks to Soul to tell him what happened?
The green lady,
Yeah,
Vernestra.
Vernestra. Yeah, one of the first things she said was like, "Hey, like, this." I don't know if it was the first thing, but she was pretty much, it was political. Like, hey, people don't need to know about this. Like,
Right, yeah.
hush, hush.
The so May, so the two twins, Ocean and May is the one that's going around killing these 4 Jedi, or is on a mission to kill 4 Jedi, and part of her mission is to kill at least one of them without a weapon. She kills Master and Dara in the first episode. It's the first scene of the first episode. A really cool fight scene. I love.
It was short, but yeah, it was cool.
It was short but cool, and I really just enjoy it. My favorite part of this is the stunt choreography.
Hands down. I think that's everybody. That to me, this choreography saved the show. Like, yeah, I mean, this is what I was looking for, and this is what they promoted when the show came out. It was like, groundbreaking action. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I've been looking for. So when I finally got it, I was like, hell yes.
Yeah, so like they really. Yeah, I think this guy. I gotta look up his name. He's the second unit director and the stunt choreography, and I just want him to do like work on more Star Wars projects. Like, give him more shows to like.
Yeah, he's a black guy too, so
Yeah, he's a badass. He did that. He did choreography for Shang-Chi as well.
which is that movie has some really cool action
I
scenes.
was That's another one where I feel like that movie worked because of the action. Yeah, Christopher Clark Cohen is the guy's name.
Yeah.
Second unit director, assistant director, and he's worked on Shang-Chi, The Witcher, um, Kingsman, The Golden Circle, which is the second Kingsman movie.
Oh, which
I love the action in that.
Yeah, the action in that movie is insane.
Art.
That movie gets a lot of hate, man.
Yeah, I like the second one.
Really good. The second one. I don't think it's as good as the first, but I love the wonder of it. They're not books or anything, right? They're like its own IP.
No, I think it is a comic book series.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think it's based on Mark Millar's comic book series, and he did the Kick-Ass comics too.
Mm-hmm.
So he's somebody who's like kind of off the beaten path comic book writer, and I'm pretty sure it's his series. But yeah, this guy is great, and I think this is my favorite work of his is this show. Um, because episode 5 of this is just unreal cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just watching I'm seeing a little like reel of stuff that he designed. Yeah, this guy's got it. He needs to do more stuff for sure.
You can always put it up to your phone too. If you have a clip you want people to see.
Oh yeah, that'd actually be maybe a good idea because this guy, it's good. Again, we want credit where credit's due, especially for somebody who's like making the show what it is. as far as some of the best parts of it. So we got like Christopher Clark Cohen. This man is responsible for these badass fight scenes in Acolyte, and there are going to be more to come. These last two episodes are going to be pretty action packed, from what Leslie Headland, the showrunner, said in an interview with
So I'm
Collider
here
this
for it.
week.
This is it.
But yeah, like I just think that this show, what I think has happened is Disney wanted it chopped up into shorter episodes. I don't know what it
would
is
have
about
been better
Disney.
as a movie, I think.
I think it would have been better as, instead of 8 episodes, it was at least 2 episodes shorter. So maybe it's because essentially it's 4 episodes because you have 4 directors. You have Leslie Headland directing the first 2 episodes, Kogonada doing 3 and 7, but which are the 2 flashback episodes. Alex Garcia Lopez doing 4 and 5, and then Hanel Culpepper doing episodes 6 and 8, but which are essentially together, broken up by the flashback.
Oh, okay.
So I would say the 2 flashback episodes I think should stand on their own. They might make them shorter, but I'm guessing they'll be the longer episodes of the show. So you have those discreetly, but then you have episodes 1 and 2 together as one episode, then episode 3, which is the first flashback, 4 and 5 together as one episode, then 6. It makes 6 such a short episode, which it still is, but it is kind of a bridge episode. So I don't know how you divide it up, but I'd say 5 to 6 episodes I think would have been what this should have been, as almost like a mini series.
Yeah.
And dropping it all at once I think would have been better too, because again I think there's so many things where people are like, oh, plot hole, and then it's like, no, it's not a plot hole. They're literally like unreliable narrator trying to like get you to think one thing by not giving you all the information. Then they give you a little bit more information, and it's like, oh. But again, I mean, I'm not going to deny that there's some questionable writing choices at times, or convenient ones at least.
Yeah.
Osha's about to crash into that ice planet, and she basically just straps herself to this thing in the center, and like,
just okay.
is this okay? So there's always those kind of things that will happen in things like this. So I wish that there weren't moments like that, but I really do think what I did is I went back the other day and watched episode 1, 2, skipped the flashback episode, and then watched 4, 5, and then 6 again. And yeah, it flows really well if you watch it that way. But because we're watching it week to week, and it's just these 30-minute episodes at a time, except for that first episode that first week being the first 2 episodes, it does feel a little unsatisfying to watch them. I think the only exception being episode 5, just because it was such an awesome episode.
Yeah, like I feel like episode 6 we're just getting to the story, like, so it almost feels like 6 feels like what. Like, it's finally me understanding what they were trying to do with the show. Because before then, like, everything was kind of just set up. Well, I guess 5 is kind of where that turns to, but that's pretty much action. 6 is, there's really no action. It's all dialogue and story push. So it's like, I feel like 6 is the story's actually kind of starting, if that makes sense.
And I do think that there's a sense in which they're trying to ease into the darker side of this show, because
we've seen like that Jedi getting his neck snapped. When I saw that, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, Yord. And that's the thing too, is they haven't brought it up, but I think that was Kymir, or the stranger, Manny Jacinto's character, demonstrating to May that's how you kill a Jedi without a weapon. Just snap his neck.
Damn. It was badass, but I was like, man, I've never seen him do anything like that in Star Wars.
And his lightsaber, which is like a secret double-bladed lightsaber, where he like blocks her initial, Jeki's initial attack, and then just gives her the 3-hole punch with the shorter lightsaber blade. I thought that was super cool.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Like, episode 5 really is one of my favorite pieces of Star Wars media.
Oh, I agree.
I think you have to include it with episode 4, like that his entrance, where he just kind of like floats in behind Osha.
Yeah, it was
in the background. It was almost like Hereditary in a way.
Yeah, 5 had horror elements in it. That's why I was like, it's like I almost wish the whole show had this tone. Like, if they kept that tone the whole show, I think people would have liked it a little more. Because I mean, I didn't know it was gonna go that route until that episode. I don't think. Like, I don't remember.
Yeah, they had hints of it with like May like following OSHA around, like the little May and stuff. But it was just hints.
Yeah.
It was definitely understated. And again, like I said, I feel like it's like they're having to ease Star Wars into this new genre. And now, like, especially with episode 5 and 6, it's like, this is what this is. This is about the bad guys. This is about, like, complex,
Yeah.
gray Jedi shit. Like, I feel like, again, a lot of people don't like The Last Jedi, where it's a divisive movie, but that's my favorite Star Wars movie that's come out since the ones directed by George Lucas, or the initial 6. Probably Last Jedi and Rogue One. Force Awakens is a lot of fun too, a good setup, but kind of just a remix of A New Hope. But The Last Jedi explores this idea of what it just brings new aspects to the Force, whether it's, Kylo Ren or Ben Solo, whatever, and Rey kind of being able to quote unquote force time across where they can see each other kind of and be connected in that way. But like with this show, it's like, especially episode 6, Chimere, or the Stranger, the masked villain, Smilo Ren, as some people are calling him, or Darth Teeth, like he takes OSHA with him, and then May is with Soul, and so you almost get to see it's like Soul interacting with, or May interacting with OSHA's master, and OSHA interacting with May's master.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was a very interesting, like,
No, it's interesting now.
contrast.
I'm fully in now. Yeah, it's interesting now.
Because you have like Chimere, he's like very exposed. He literally gets naked, is taking a bath, has this like very soft clothing, very permissive, telling OSHA like, "Oh yeah, just kill me if you want to, or just swim out to the ship out there. You just have to wait for the tide to switch. Otherwise, you're just going to be paddling against, or like swimming against the tide for a really long time, kind of thing." So he's like giving her this idea that like, "Oh, you're free to do whatever."
Yeah.
Like, and then Soul, who's been coded as only the good guy up to this point, essentially, he's like, most of his scenes are in the dark with like a little bit of illumination on his face, and then like when he stuns May, he ends up having her shack like tied down. So it's like you almost have this like the bad guy being very like soft and like
It's the opposite. Yeah, it's like yin yang.
so yeah, I thought that was very fascinating the way they did that, and then going on at the same time as Vernestra kind of like cleaning up the crime scene, or the Jedi slaughter that happened on Kofar when they went to try to get Kelnaka.
Yeah,
So
he's going through it.
One of my
So
favorite characters in all of Star Wars now. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in these last 2 episodes, but I think it's going to make him only more interesting. I hope he survives. The main reason people don't think he will is just because
I
for
don't
that.
think he will. I think he's gonna die.
Yeah,
100%.
I just, man, I love his character. I'd love to see more of him. I hope there's a season 2. Leslie Headland, the showrunner, has said that like she doesn't like it when shows kind of just end and makes it feel like it's incomplete season to season. So she said that there's a sense of an ending, but that she has more ideas for multiple seasons going forward. And I would love to see that. I'd love to explore
Yeah, I'm
more
hoping.
of
I'm
where
hoping
things
they
are
just
going.
listen to the people that are enjoying it. Like I'm hoping they have enough viewership with the people that are actually enjoying it to maybe even because I do like that it feels more adult now. Like the 5 and 6 did. I was like, okay, this is more my speed. Like I would watch this. You know.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think that, especially as good of an actress as Amanda Stenberg is, and I think she's done a great job of distinguishing between the body language and like affect of OSHA versus the body language and affect of May.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that they're both still so mysterious, or we still don't know how they tick fully, or we're kind of like exploring that as it goes. That again, I understand the criticism, but I do think that will change. I think that once you get that other flashback, and then with the finale, I think that if they go into a second season, the characters will make more sense because we know the totality of what went on, and then both May and OSHA by the end of the show, I think we'll know what happened in the past in a more complete way. So I think that will help their characters going forward if both of them survive.
Yeah, I can
But
see that.
but yeah, like I said, I understand the criticisms, but there's what I was going to do before we wrap this up, and we can still talk.
We probably get going because we almost at an hour. I want to keep it like an hour 15.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, real quick, just to be clear, so there's this thing called review bombing that's been happening in fandoms for a while now, where like it's just really stupid where people t- they've nicknamed the show the Wokalite, or just like calling it, being essentially mad that like the only male cisgender white character is like the guy who drinks the poison in the second episode, played by like, you know, Joffrey Baratheon's younger brother from Game of Thrones. So just this little shrimp of a dude, and I find it kind of funny in that way, to be honest. But it's like, yeah, I do not see a problem whatsoever with diversity in Star Wars or in any property. It's long overdue. One of my favorite podcasters, John Campea, has this phrasing of it where he's like, Hollywood has had there's no new agenda. I mean, you can call it an agenda, but there's not this new woke agenda. What really is the agenda is, for years and years, unless you were essentially just white and male for the most part, but even, I mean, white females, whatever, you were on the fringes of every movie or show out there for the most part. Again, this has changed over the years. I mean, even before I was born, they had like, you know, shows about black families and things like that, but it's still just by far the minority of what's out there. So
Yeah,
you have,
100%.
so how John Campea puts it is like, it's been an agenda of exclusion
Yeah,
in Hollywood rather
that's
than
all
an
it is.
agenda of inclusion. So you
Yeah,
got to fight against that, not fight against this new thing where you're allowing more and more people into the world. So
yeah. It's not that they're trying to say that, um, you know, like like white people, like we're better than white people by any means. It's just including other races in your stuff. Like it's been apparent that minority people have been excluded from that franchise for a long time. Like you go back to all the old stuff, and it's obvious. What's the it's like uh who's oh my god, Samuel Jackson, and who's the other black guy that they've had in Star Wars? Uh,
oh, Lando,
yeah,
Billy D. Williams.
yeah, those were like the only two, man. So it's like, and it's not just black people. I'm just talking about like you said, like you said, exclusion.
Yeah, like a like an agenda of exclusion where it's like
Yeah,
the status quo is we make movies about like white people for the
yeah, we
most
can give
part.
y'all the proper shit.
But like, so listen to this. So I think I sent you this article. I don't know if you had a chance to read it, and then we'll wrap this up with the
Yeah,
Acolyte.
almost.
But
We'll
like,
have to make those other sections a little shorter.
and that's fine because we're not as far in those shows.
Yeah,
So this one we're having to make up for lost time because we it's much further in the show. But there's this article in Forbes by Paul Tassi, and he says that he shows the numbers for the reviews of user reviews for these shows, because essentially the user reviews for the Acolyte are just terrible compared to the pretty great reviews for by critics. And let's look at this. So, of Star Wars shows out there, Rebels, the animated series, has 2,000 user reviews. Book of Boba Fett has 2,500 user reviews. Ahsoka 5,000. Andor 5,000. Clone Wars 6,000. Obi-Wan Kenobi 10,000. And then the one that has the most other than Acolyte is The Mandalorian at 17,500, which is 3 seasons. So people have been watching this for 3 seasons that has 17,500 user reviews. Guess how many the Acolyte has in only the number of weeks it's been out?
probably like I think I know. I think you told me it's like triple that.
25,000.
Oh,
So
okay.
it is eight. It has 8,000 more reviews. It has, other than Obi-Wan Kenobi, it has more reviews than The Mandalorian than the other shows even have at all. So it has,
That's crazy.
and it's all, and so that's how you know it's being review bombed. It's like, dude, I'm sorry, but there's no chance that this many more people are watching it, and that this many, and that, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean, we know this. I don't think there's any mystery to it, but it's just kind of a gross thing nowadays where this user interface is being used to create like like it's so funny they talk about the agendas of these companies, like Disney's just trying to blah blah blah. It's like, no, the agenda is these people who don't like something going in and trying to like tear it down. It's like, if I don't like a show or a thing, I just don't watch
Yeah.
it. Like, you don't see me coming on here
Or
being
how
like,
about people getting hired because they're fit for the role? Like, you ever think about that? Like, maybe they weren't looking at the color of their skin; they were looking at, oh, this guy is fit for this part. Like,
Right.
it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll leave it there as far as that goes. Like again, there's always totally valid reasons to criticize the show, and I think there's plenty of people out there who have given it a chance and still are not thinking it's the greatest whatever. But I think that the nature of the show being a mystery and unfolding as time goes on, a lot of the early criticisms have just literally been like countered by the plot being revealing more and more. But yeah, I think we can safely say that like most of this, like I think on IMDb it's got a 3.7 score, and again that's another website to review bombing it other than Rotten Tomatoes. But anyway, we'll move on.
Well,
Oh,
like
sorry.
this is
Yeah,
the
go
last
ahead.
thing I'll say.
Go ahead, yeah, for sure.
Like I would say how I would explain my viewing experience with the show. It started at about a D, and then like I think episode 3 or 4 went to, I would say D minus or F plus. You know what I'm saying? But now I think it's about at a B plus, if not an A, for me as far as my viewing experience. So that's where I'm at with it. It's getting really good. I'm really excited for these last 2 episodes. Just a couple weeks ago, I was telling Luke that I was gonna stop watching it. Like, so
And I was pretty confident that it would get better and that it would get more action packed. I think you had to lay the groundwork in those first, we'll say, the episodes 1, 2, and 4, which take place in modern times, or the present day as far as the Acolyte goes, because you got to make sure that people care about Yord and Jecki and these people before you kill them. Because if you kill them in episode 5, that you don't know anything about them,
yeah,
it's like nobody's
makes
going to
sense.
care.
Yeah,
In the same way that you didn't necessarily care about Jedi Master Indara and Jedi Master Torben dying because you didn't really know their characters that much.
yeah,
So I think that it's, again, if you watch them together, kind of in a one sitting or in a couple of sittings, I think the story holds together much better. It's just that when you're getting it such short intervals at a time, it just feels incomplete. And I just think that that's a problem with the weekly release for this show. I think certain shows like House of the Dragon and The Boys benefit from week to week because they have a lot going on in each episode. But because I think this was maybe viewed as much of maybe a shorter series to begin with, and they were like, oh, okay, well, since it's shorter, why don't we just divide it up into smaller pieces, or just making it, I don't know if they wanted it more palatable for kids, like, hey, if it's too long, like, the younger audience isn't gonna like stick with each episode, whatever. I don't know what the reasoning is, but I definitely think that the problem with the show, one of the biggest problems, was just the way that they divided the episodes up, and makes it hard to it feels like every time you're about to get into the episode, it's like the episode ends.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but anyway,
Yeah, let's move on. Let's go
Yeah.
to the next thing. That's it for Star Wars.
I'm gonna grab a
I'll
drink
still
real
hear
quick.
about it. That's it for y'all.
Yeah, well, yeah, Lucas will be talking about it. Yeah, let's do that last.
IMDb and stuff because there's just too many characters, man. I'll be watching it how y'all like they just talking about so and so and so and so. I'm like, oh my god.
Of House blank.
So
Yeah, let's pull that up.
on the here. Let me look these characters up on IMDb. But you haven't even seen the screen for it yet. You can stay right there. I'll get up. But I'm trying to tell you which character you are. I just don't remember names.
Is it Prince Damon? Probably not.
No. So you are. Okay, you're Queen Hightower. Okay.
Wait, what?
And I am.
Oh, Rhaenyra.
Yeah, I'm Rhaenyra. So those are the only two people we have on the screen. So you're blood for blood, and I am fire to fire.
Because it's right here. It's, oh, come on, why not loading now? It's this thing, the two of them facing each other.
Well, it's similar, but it's different.
Okay. So yeah, I took offense for a second because I thought you were saying that like the way I am as a person is somehow like this character, but you're just saying like on the screen that's
You'll
how
see.
it's divided up.
I put the cameras like on their face, so you can't. We're their face. It looks funny.
Because what I was gonna say is what I thought you were gonna say is that I look like Eamon, this dude, this.
He over there cuddling the prostitutes. He going through it.
Yeah. So kind of to establish.
Spoilers again.
Oh no, yeah.
Spoiler. This is just yeah.
That's all we do here. That like once we talk
It's
about
all
shows,
spoilers,
we don't really have a. I mean, maybe as we get more structure to the show, we'll do like non-spoiler reviews initially, and then do a separate thing with spoiler review. But at this point, we're just going to be talking about the show in a full spoilery way. But so yeah, we have House of the Dragon season 2. This season is going to be 8 episodes instead of 10 like the first. I actually appreciate that they're not just like
dragging it out.
yeah, dragging like they're like okay, if we can tell this second season in 8 episodes versus 10, we're not going to just have a bunch of filler.
Yeah, which is good because I feel like the show moves slow enough to where filler is not needed. Like get to it.
And the other thing that's way different about this season than last is that last season was broken up into 2 main parts, where it was like the first 5 episodes were a young Rhaenyra and a young cast for the most part, and then the second half was Emma Darcy taking over the role. So young Rhaenyra was played by Millie Alcock, who's going to be playing Wonder Woman in the DCU going forward, James Gunn's DCU, and then
really?
yeah. And then Rhaenyra, the older Rhaenyra, played by Emma Darcy. And I guess Emma is non-binary, so I guess goes by they. I'll try to remember that. It's hard to. But for purposes of the show, she plays, or it's a female character, so I guess we'll refer to her as she in that way. But yeah, so you had it. So it's like first 5 episodes, the younger actress Millie Alcock. Next 5, Emma Darcy, and then you have in between that you have smaller periods of time that or jumps in the timeline that are more subtle. So even with Emma Darcy in the last 5 chapters of season 1, it's like the first 2 episodes she has her kids are younger, played by younger actors, and then the last 3 episodes are played by older actors and the actors that play them in this season. So, and this goes for both Alicent Hightower and Rhaenyra, who are the Greens and the Blacks this season. So essentially, King Viserys, played by Paddy Considine, who should have got an Emmy nomination at least for his role as King Viserys in the first season, his death and the question of the succession, whether it should go to his daughter Rhaenyra or his son Aegon, who's a little piece of shit, kind of like a pre-Joffrey.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit, Jeff.
So that's the conflict of this second season, is jumping in right in is that at the end of last season, Prince Aemond, Aegon's younger brother, the one who got his eye stabbed out by Rhaenyra's kid, one of them, I can't remember what, who it was. I think it was Luke that did it. Yeah, it was Luke. And then at the end, when Luke goes to Storm's End to recruit the what would you call it, the Castellan there, or like recruit them to the black side. Aemond is there, and then on his flight back to King's Landing, Aemond's huge old dragon just eats Lucerys, Luke's dragon, and so that's what sets off things going forward in this season. This first episode, Daemon hatches this plot that's been kind of talked about in the fandom leading up to this season, called Blood and Cheese. Cheese being the rat catcher and Blood being the assassin. What did you think of that? Them going in to get a son for a son, revenge for the death of Luke, the death of Lucerys, yeah, where where it's like so they're sent there by Damon to kill Aemond, who with the eye patch, who was responsible for Luke's death. But then the assassin asks, like, well, what if we can't find him? Like, what if we run into issues trying to get to kill him? What do we do? And then Damon doesn't really answer, or it just kind of the scene cuts.
Yeah.
But then what ends up happening is um, they can't find Damon, so they go to Aegon's uh, quarters, or his kids' quarters, where his sister and wife, what's her name? Oh, Helena. She's got her two kids. She have two or three kids. I think it's two.
I think it was two. Cause yeah.
And they ask her, like, which one's the boy,
Uh-huh.
and then she has to literally, essentially, point out which kid is going to get killed, and so sad. I mean, one of them, like it doesn't show it, but you hear this kind of like sawing effect of them, like,
Oh yeah, that was
like
it's just funny because like the show like Game of Thrones is just such a crazy show, and House of the Dragon like the first season has some crazy moments. I was not surprised. I was like, this is right on schedule at all. But yeah, it was brutal. Like just hearing sounded very realistic. Just
yeah,
the fact that it was a baby that was happening to is pretty wild.
yeah. It was a haunting moment for sure. Just like, yeah, definitely, it was intense, very intense.
I really liked how it was shot. And we were talking about it earlier, but I don't think you noticed that it was. Maybe it wasn't. I'm gonna have to watch it again because it seemed like it was. I know like how the one shots. I don't know exactly how they work, but I know that they find ways to cut to make it look like it's not one shot. So it might not be a complete one shot, but I think that's what they were going for. Because I remember when they were hatching the plot to kill the baby, like the camera was just moving around the entire time, and it reminded me of like a True Detective. I know they've had moments like that. Um,
Especially in season one.
yeah, in each show where they have like the one pest where it just adds this element, this sense of
Immediacy in real time,
yeah,
like,
yeah, like it gives you like a heart attack almost. It was nicely shot, and I think it made it like extremely effective.
yeah. The director of episode one was Alan Taylor, um, and oh dang, episode four is gonna be called Dance of Dragons. So hopefully it's a badass episode. Sorry, I got distracted. I thought I was clicking on episode one. But yeah, so episode one was directed by Alan Taylor, who is an OG of the Game of Thrones show. So he directed a
Okay.
lot of the episodes in the Game of Thrones series. This is his first time in House of the Dragon, but I can't. I'd have to look it up specifically which ones are which. But um, yeah, somebody who's got logged many hours in the Game of Thrones series, so a vet of the series, and then Rainier the Cruel, the second episode, dealing with the fallout, directed by Claire Kilner, who did episodes of the first season as well. But man, yeah, I just have to say, this show to me is so well written.
It is. It's even more interesting than Game of Thrones. I think like a lot of conversation.
And what's interesting about that is that it is based on Fire and Blood, which is almost more of a historical account by George Martin. Um, so you've got this book that it's based on, but unlike the Game of Thrones books, it's not, it doesn't have dialogue necessarily. It might here and there say like so and so was noted to have said this, but it's not. They don't have as much to go off of. So they really are making up more of the dialogue than they would have in at least the first 4 or 5 seasons
Okay,
of Game
so
of Thrones, where it's based on actual like lines from the book.
I feel like the
So that
I don't
was
know.
what was pleasantly surprising.
It feels like I don't know. It feels like that would be easier to do with this type of show to like go off the material just because of like the way if it's written like if they're doing exactly how it is from the book, it's like this is a drama like a TV soap opera. Like, I feel like it's probably like right up their alley. I don't know if the books are like if that's how the books are written. Are they written like that?
So I mean, the Game of Thrones books are written such that you have um, each chapter is from a different character's perspective. So you'll have Tyrion chapters, you'll have
Oh,
Jon Snow chapters, you'll have Jaime chapters. And so it's really interesting because it plays on the idea that, like, so you'll have certain circumstances, you'll only ever see something happen from one character's perspective. And for that reason, you don't always get the truth initially.
that's cool.
And so that's what I love about those books. And or you'll have like characters, yeah, who you don't even see what happened in a scene that they ended up showing in the actual show because you're only hearing about it from another character.
Okay.
So that's it really plays with that primary documents thing where it's like, you know, did this really happen or is this somebody like giving you an unreliable narrator view of things? So they didn't really explore that in the show Game of Thrones. But with this, like I said, it's more of a historical document, just basically telling you an order of events in a, I wouldn't say clinical way, but just in a more like broad way. So it gives, I think, the writers of the show a lot more leeway. So I already know that the Patty Considine playing Viserys in the first season, the guy who was like falling apart, the king with the ended up with the gold mask, and then you have his daughter Helena in this season. Apparently, George Martin has he's come out and essentially said that both of those characters were changed quite a bit for the show and for the better. Like in his book, Viserys was not nearly as nuanced as he is in the show, and then Helena as well. The way she's being played is kind of like weird, like having this quirkiness to her,
Yeah.
and just like her otherworldly nature is just not how he wrote her in the book. So there have been aspects that he's specifically cited as like, hey, they've really like brought dimension to characters that I didn't necessarily give a lot of. I wouldn't even say he didn't give them a lot of thought, but he didn't flesh them out in that way. So yeah, it's interesting because I think at towards the end of Game of Thrones, I was talking about this with one of my friends that um, he's talking about how the writing really feels like it falls off once they run out of material from the books, and I do understand and agree with that. I do think that David Benioff and D.B. Weiss are much better writers than a lot of people who don't like the later seasons give him credit for. But I think that it's definitely true that once they ran out of material from the books, you can tell that it doesn't have the same voice necessarily. But here, because it's all again like based on something that's not so specific, they're able to have form their own voice for the show, and I think that works really well.
Yeah, so that's going to be that started with the second season. It's going to stay like that.
Oh, first and second season of House of the
Oh,
Dragon, because
okay.
so basically like it's based on parts in that book. That book also took. So the thing is that that book covers stuff that happens hundreds and thousands of years before this.
Oh, okay.
Not hundreds of thousands of years, but thousands and then hundreds of years before the stuff that happens in here. So this part is not even the biggest part of that. It's a big part of that book, but it's not the whole thing.
Okay.
So, um, uh, and the thing is that's different about this is that if you think about Game of Thrones, it's like it takes place over, in one other part of the world. It jumps around a lot, and you have so many different characters. Where this has a lot of characters, but it's more contained. It's like one side versus the other, where it's like the other place. It's like they're at the wall fighting in the north, and you had Daenerys. It's a little more focused and a little easier to digest, and for that reason, because all the stakes are directly related to everything else, it feels more impactful because it's like, the stuff happening to John isn't affecting anybody else in the show. The stuff happening to Daenerys isn't affecting anybody else in the show.
Yeah.
So there are all these like mini conflicts, which are interesting, but it's just like it's almost like they're telling like 10 different stories in Game of Thrones. Whereas this one, it's like you might have a lot of characters, but they're more or less all dealing with the same conflict.
Yeah, like they're all going to war. They're all, talking about the same events and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree, and it makes the show that much more interesting. But yeah, let's get into the third episode.
Oh, so second episode, real
Oh,
quick, to, um, in response to the fact that they come and kill his daughter, Otto Hightower, the Hand of the King, has them spin it as Rhaenyra the Cruel, like that's the name of the episode, but also that it's like she had this child murdered, when all reality it was like Daemon, her uncle slash husband. Which, man, we got to talk about how the Targaryen family, just like their inbreeding is just out of control. So you've got so they spin this as a disgusting thing she did, so that the people of King's Landing and the people of the realm as a whole will more likely unite around the Greens. So they have this whole thing where they like stitch the boy's head back on, and then they have like a funeral procession through the streets of King's Landing to kind of be like, look at what they did, kind of thing. And in response, Aegon has the rat catchers killed, which leads to the people kind of having a problem with that, because again, he killed a bunch of rat catchers, only one of which was actually involved. So he actually did kill one of the guys, but along with a dozen other innocent rat cats. All they were trying to do was catch rats.
Yeah, that's all they was doing. They was protecting the kingdom.
And then you have, in response to that, Aegon has so there's these twin Kingsguard guys, Sir Eric and Sir Auric. I don't know if you, yeah, they're pronounced the same, or they look the same, except one starts with an A, one starts with an E. And they're identical twins. I don't even know. It could be two different actors. I actually need to look that up, actually, if they're brothers or if it's literally just one guy because they doing what Armie Hammer did in Social Network, where he plays two.
The fight scene, I feel like kept cutting from one side to the other.
Yeah, so it is totally possible.
I mean, he could have a twin,
And so they had split up in the last season. Like, one had stuck with Aegon and the Greens, and then one had split off and joined the Blacks and Rhaenyra. And it was this, yeah, it was kind of. So anyway, they have so it's is it Kristen Cole's idea to send Sir Eric, one of the twins, to Dragonstone to pretend like he's his brother, sneak in and murder Rhaenyra.
Yeah, it was his commanding officer,
the leader of the Kingsguard, Kristen Cole.
Dude, and he was just salty because of some other shit. He was just mad. I don't like that. I think that moment right there made me not like the character. He seems like he's very egotistical, in my opinion.
Are you talking about the Kingsguard that's sleeping with Alicent?
Yeah, I felt like at first they kind of made him more humble, but now he's like.
Yeah, because wasn't he originally turned down by Rhaenyra? Like, didn't they kind of have a thing early on in the first season?
Yeah,
and then she kind of falls in love with that other guy that they go against. But
yeah.
Oh yeah, so they are the actual twins, Luke Tittenser and Elliot Tittenser.
Double the people, double the money.
Yeah, so Auric Cargill and Eric Cargill.
Your whole family got paid.
So yeah, and that, so I thought that was fascinating. What did you think of that? Like, how she goes.
It was kind of funny because, like I said, with the baby thing, it was like every time something like this happens now, I'm like, man, like, this is just expected. Like, literally the worst thing that could have happened with him infiltrating happened. Like, literally, instead of killing the person you're supposed to kill, you kill your own brother. You're like, it's just like, man. No, that was pretty. I think that was the first, for me, in the show, was the first real effective moment. It kind of was like, oh, this shit is real. Well, I guess the baby thing too, but even more so this, because there was surprisingly a lot of emotion Yeah, I thought it was crazy how they got so much emotion out of this character that we barely have seen or know anything
Yeah, because the
about.
twins were
So
not a huge part of the show. They started becoming more prominent in the second half of the first season, and it seemed like they would have some significance. And then this kind of happens where it's like they send one twin to disguise himself as the other, and um, yeah, it's just sad because they fight each other. One successfully protects Rhaenyra and kills his brother, and then immediately falls on his own sword, kind of out of heartbreak for having killed his brother. So it's like, yeah, I thought that was
and then
really.
they were shitting on him when they were uh, covering him up when they dug the grave. Sorry, I took an edible a couple hours ago, Chad. If I'm all over the place and stuff. But yeah, you remember the grave they were
His
digging
eyes
up?
are open. It may not
Yeah,
look like it.
yeah, I'm hanging in there. But yeah, you remember they were talking shit while they were like pouring dirt on him? I was like, what
Yeah.
the hell?
Well, they were talking about the one that was coming to assassinate him. They're like, they're here with
Oh,
his
okay.
brother.
I thought they were talking about both of them. So I thought that they said something about like, yeah,
No, they're like,
yeah,
he's buried next to his brother, or he's sullying his brother's name or something. So kind of drawing uh, attention to the fact that, yeah, one is somebody they liked, another was somebody that essentially was completely against them. But yeah, it's just a crazy, crazy first two episodes, and then this third episode starts with this kind of conflict between the Brackens and the Blackwoods, which are two families that share a border at some point because they're arguing over where the stones marking whose land is whose. And then it escalates into like Rhaenyra like assassinated the kid, and so it becomes this thing of like these two families arguing over the two sides of this potential war that's about to happen. And then it just smash cuts. Instead of showing the battle, it just shows you the aftermath, and you see this burning mill.
yeah. I didn't like that. It's like, dude, we got to see something, man. All this dialogue, you got to.
I think that's what's going to happen in this next episode. The next episode is called A Dance of Dragons, so I'm assuming that we're going to get some dragon on dragon
Some
fight
dragon action.
scenes. Yeah. Uh, so again, I think like with um, the Acolyte, I think there's just sometimes these shows kind of do a lot of setup so that when these action scenes happen, these fights,
They're
these battle
effective.
scenes, yeah, and I think the reason they didn't show that battle is just because you don't care about any of those characters. So it's like
Yeah,
if you were to watch them fight, it's like you're watching them fight, but like you don't really care what happens. Whereas like if Damon was there in the fight, then
then
or
we
if
would want to
then
know.
they would you want to see it so like they did in episode 3 of the first season. But yeah, no, I think that and then the end of the episode. What did you think? Because I'd seen the episode already, and you were catching up. What did you think of that talk between Rhaenyra and Allison when Rhaenyra
Yeah,
sneaks into the Red Keep?
which the fact that she was able to sneak in, I was like, this house sucks. Like you can't. Literally, the ops is in the room, and y'all have no idea. Like, insane. But no, it was pretty crazy. Didn't she like have a knife up to her or something like that? Like
Yeah,
she was about to
basically
kill her
telling
ass.
she what she was doing was ensuring that hey, like if
Rhaenyra
you
had a knife up to what's her name?
Allison, Queen Allison. So she was basically like, "Hey, if you call out and get me killed, you're dying with me."
Yeah,
Essentially, it was she's like, "I want to talk to you, but I know that you might try to like alert people to my presence and win the war that way. So feel free, but I'm taking you with me."
yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's when the end of the show came on. I saw most of it, but I was going back and forth because I was cooking sandwiches. As told you, I took the edible. I needed a sandwich.
Oh man, that what's that stuff called? That Ronisha got
The
the
garlic butter.
garlic butter. It's like what's that? It's some Irish brand.
I didn't even see it. I just used that whole.
It's so good though.
Yeah, it was,
My goodness.
I
But we
put it
digress.
on the bread. It was fire.
But yeah, no, I think the show's off to a great start.
I did too.
Uh,
I do want more action though, but I'm sure it's coming.
yeah, I definitely think so for sure. And much more focused season than last, just because last season I really feel like last season was just all preamble, showing you the backstory of all these characters, but so much time jumping that it was hard to get a handle on things. and now it's smack dab in this conflict in the present day kind of thing. And so yeah, really, really enjoying it. Solid writing, solid acting, solid everything.
Yeah, I really think it's just improved on what Game of Thrones did. It was just like, yeah, look what we did here. Let's just, and, like it's almost like they know exactly what they wanted to do with this.
And he, I think I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I think there's going to be a second Fire and Blood volume. I don't know. I'd have to. I'm almost positive, but I don't. So I don't know if the full story is in there or if some of it is still yet to come. But the history of what happened has been told in volumes, whether in this World of Ice and Fire, the Rise of the Dragon. There's these various things that he's telling these stories in, whereas with Game of Thrones, he hasn't finished the story. So I think that's a big key difference too. Is that with this, no matter how things go, we know how the story ends because it's in the past, and George has kind of covered it, even though it's within less detail. So I think that that's going to help this show as well, is that it's got a complete story. They know how to get there, whereas with Game of Thrones, by the point of the show that they stopped following the books, he was only introducing more and more characters rather than where the show was going. Where we're like, well, we have less to work with. We need to start like bringing it to a close, kind of thing. So I think that'll be a benefit of the show and this season going forward.
Yeah, I think we need to move on to the next topic, which is The Boys. And instead, because I guess we've only watched 3 episodes.
Yeah, so there's 6
maybe
episodes out now, and there's only
maybe
3.
we talk about what we feel about the episode and keep it there. That way we can shorten it because we're already at 120.
Yeah. We'll get this done in 10 minutes. Do an hour and a half show, and again, we'll tighten this up as we go. Like I said, we had to cover a lot of what we talked about in an episode that never
Yeah,
got.
we didn't have a lot of prep time. Him and I are on like opposite schedules chat, so sometimes we might be a little more prepared than other times, and that's just how it just rolls.
But yes,
but yeah, let's get into the next one.
time for The Boys.
The Boys. Um, this show is great so far. This is actually, I think, my favorite season so far. Like every character that's been introduced that's new, I really think are adding to the show. Like they're not just because they have in the past they've had a couple characters which they know too because they kill them off. But like a couple characters that really weren't like moving the plot forward. I guess I don't know if you feel like that, but this season more than anything, I feel like these characters are really contributing to the plot.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, it's a good season so far. I'm really, really enjoying it.
I guess each season is about different like new people. Like they bring in new people every season.
Yeah, like last season was Soldier Boy.
Actually, I'll take that back. Yeah, Soldier Boy was cool. I really like Soldier Boy. Well, I didn't like him as a character. But you know what I'm saying? Like
he was a good antagonist.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So this has been a good season so far. Things are getting really interesting with everybody. Huey, still my least favorite character of the show.
I will say though, I think giving him less screen time is working because he's a little more likable now. Wouldn't you say that he's not getting as much screen time? Like when I see Huey now, I'm like, oh, there's Huey. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's less like here we go again. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I guess the shit with his mom is kind of. I don't know if there's more to that than what I'm missing, but like.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes going forward. And our next episode, we'll talk about the next 3 episodes that are out, if not this episode 7 by that point as well.
Yeah,
but
getting super emotional with his mom, I kind of didn't. I don't know. I feel like it just doesn't fit with the show that well. Like that's the only part of it I haven't liked so far, but everything else has been great. I just love how what's his name? The main guy here in the middle. Man, why can't I think of names?
I can't. I don't know what the graphic looks like. Is it Homelander?
Yeah, Homelander.
Dude, Homelander. I love Homelander in this season.
Dude, he's just like you can just tell he's just reached his like he's done so much fucked up shit. But this season is like everything sets him off. Like
do that when that one girl is like friends with Starlight, and he's like, so did you made a phone call to her,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's like, oh yeah,
He was
I,
like, "We're not gonna kill
I
you."
swear on this my son or whatever,
Yeah.
and then as soon as she admits to like saying anything to Starlight, just like laser eyes her.
Yeah.
No, and yeah, so and this is funny. I don't know if you and I had talked about this, that there's this at least certain contingent of people, uh, far right leaning people who like didn't seem to catch on that like Homelander was the bad guy up until now. And it's like, dude, he has been the bad guy from the
Yeah,
beginning.
Homelander's like the man. I don't want to turn anybody away, but he's like the MAGA people. Like he's literally his character is like their personality. Like
Yeah, the people that are fans of Homelander are definitely MAGA. What would you call it? Oh gosh,
yeah, maybe
stand-ins or whatever.
yeah, MAGA is not the word, but
I mean, I think it is. It's pretty explicit. Eric Kripke, the showrunner, said that. He's like, yeah, it's like from the beginning, this is how we have not been hiding the way we view things, and it's just so funny that some of these people are just now coming around to realizing that. And I wonder if it's another thing that shows the bad faith of these kind of people. Is that what it is? Oh, it's an election year. Oh, here's a show that's been out for a while. Now we're going to talk about how bullshit the show is, and it's getting all political, blah blah. It's been political from the get go.
that's what it's about. It's about politics. It's the entire show. Like everybody's working for the government. Like people running for fucking office. Like, are you kidding me? Really what the show's about.
And I just love how the one thing I think that is really good about the boys, almost better than anything else, is just the way that it lampoons superhero like iconography and culture and everything. Like they just do a good job of like,
No, I truly think this is like a realistic take on how this shit would go. Like if this shit was in the real world, it would just turn into a power. Like
this and the Invincible, I think, are like the two best superhero like properties as far as demonstrating what it would be like to have these powerful beings the way they are.
yeah, and it is. It's pretty scary, dude. Like because I've thought about like even though the show is hilarious and it's a lot of the stuff is ridiculous, I'm like, dude, this is totally how the shit would go. Like it would be yeah. People would be using it to run for president and shit. Like it would be wild.
Yeah, it's so funny that Robert Singer, I think is the guy's name, who's running for president, and it's Victoria Newman, I think, is the lady that explodes people's heads, and she's his vice presidential candidate.
Yeah,
But he doesn't want to be anywhere near her because he's like, dude, as soon as I win the election, she's gonna blow my head up.
yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a very interesting show.
Oh,
Very
another.
fun and funny, just always outrageous,
Yeah, it is, and there's always just those what the fuck moments, you know.
always.
But another aspect I like is the speed guy. What's his name?
Oh, A Train.
Yeah, A Train. You can see that stuff is finally reaching him too, to the point to where he's helping out the boys. Um,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
so funny. He like comes in, saves Huey, and he was like, "Oh, like why'd you do that?" or something. He
and he
just
just
jets.
takes off. Yeah, but yeah, you can just tell he feels guilty, and yeah, I'm
Yeah, that
interested to see.
scene where he like Homelander, just to test how much of yes men they are. He's
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah,
he tells,
the blowjob thing.
yeah, has what is it? The Deep go over and he was gonna do it. The Deep was about to give A Train a blowjob just because they're all so afraid of Homelander. One of my favorite new additions to it, though, is what do you think of that guy that is playing the like Black Noir 2, like the replacement of Black
Oh yeah,
Noir?
yeah. He keep asking questions. They be like, "Shut up, Noir."
So funny. He's doing too like he's got this aura about him where he's like steely, you know, doesn't very expressionless, and then the guy replacing him, he's coming out going like, and they're like, stop. It's going to be very obvious.
It's just funny because you can tell, like, just from the questions, because he asks like basic questions They
Yeah,
just literally put him was like, you wearing this suit, you're gonna be part of the seven. Like,
yeah. I feel like they aren't giving him because I think is he just an actor?
I think so. I can't
I
remember
don't know if he's
exactly.
also a superhero or if he literally is just an actor. But yeah, he's always talking about. He's like, I need some more feedback on my motivation.
Oh, okay, yeah, then he must be like, I really don't remember. I just remember how emotional was that Black Noir episode. I was not expecting that where he died.
Oh, in the second season, or
Yeah,
yeah, third season, last season. One thing my favorite character that's new is Sister Sage.
yeah.
Seems like she's like,
That's the black chick,
yeah,
right?
the smartest girl in the
No,
world or
she
whatever.
to me she's the best addition that they've had, just because she's literally just brain fucking everybody there. Like literally adding her to the group is the worst thing they could have did. Like Homelander could have did. Like she's fucking with him now even. So it's
I
like,
hope so. I hope she turns on him, or I hope her ultimate goal is to like get him out of power. But who knows?
yeah,
Firecracker, that character, a very clear Marjorie Taylor Greene inspired character.
yeah.
Uh,
The actor's pretty hot. Like,
but yeah, just such a. I'm really enjoying the show. It is more maybe overtly political this season than previous seasons, maybe. But at the same time, I kind of don't think that. I
it
feel
is,
like it's
but
always
not.
been, but like
Yeah, it's always
maybe it's just a little less subtle now. But
been. But
I just
I
don't think it
love
was ever subtle. I don't know.
Firecracker's character though, because yeah, it's just like you said, she's modeled after that lady, and like some of the stuff she just be saying just makes me laugh.
Freaking hilarious. But yeah, so we'll go more in depth on the boys next episode, because yeah, we just kind of had to catch up a lot on our thoughts on the acolyte. We still didn't go into it in depth or in an organized way like we did before. So like I said, going forward, we'll try to be more.
I think we did a good job.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have 131, so let's just try to end it now.
cool,
Yeah,
cool. But yeah,
we don't have any news. We'll try to be more consistent. Um,
yeah, we're starting to get the technology part of this worked out better. So going forward, we should have more consistent episodes. Huh. Fingers crossed. We'll see how the audio sounds on this one. But
yeah, and then
um,
I'm gonna plug myself in. I'm about to start streaming again. I got a new setup for gaming on Twitch. Young Harry Brown is my Twitch. Young Harry Brown is my Twitch. But yeah, if you want to see even more content from me, and you'll probably hear Luke every now and then too, because he's always here. So
yeah,
we'll
and then eventually when Star Wars comes out, that's the game I'll probably first start to
yeah,
stream it,
we'll try to
see
mix and
how it
mingle.
goes.
Like we work on music videos. I make music. He does the filming, and directs the videos. So yeah, we're gonna try to just intertwine everything. Try to see what you guys like, and keep improving this thing.
Yeah, just as things go along, just tell us, give us any feedback you can on how things are going, how we're doing, and what topics you'd like us to talk about. If and as long as they interest us, we will. Like I said, this was very much a grab bag of an episode because we were making up for lost time. I wanted to do an episode a week in June, and we just
Yeah,
ran into
we've grown.
multiple tech issues.
Yeah, we had tech issues, and like I said, me and him
Some life
both
stuff got
grown.
in the way too.
Yeah, we got lives and we got opposite schedules, but we're trying not to make that excuse. We're gonna try to be consistent with this, and yeah, get you guys the best content that we can.
For sure, for sure.
But yeah, let's go ahead and get out of here.
Yeah, deuces. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
No music. I'm just gonna dance. Oh, dance.
Mm,
Oh,
mm, mm.
yeah.